After reading and learning more about the Americans with Disability Act and subsequent legislation, I've been thinking a lot about how this applies to my current career field. I work at the University of Alaska Fairbanks in the e-learning unit. I work with faculty and academic departments on online and distance program development. And a big part of that is thinking about how can an online student earn their degree, have the same learning outcomes and expectations as a face-to-face student, but doing so in the online environment. And to add another layer of that, if a student with a disability is interested in taking an online course or enrolling in an online degree program, what types of accommodations are academic departments prepared to implement in order to help that student be successful? And right now I'd say that in my conversations with departments, it's sort of about accommodating students that currently identify that they need accommodations. We implement tools in our e-learning unit with our design team that will allow for captioning video or can be used in conjunction with other accommodation tools. But we, when I say we, I mean the faculty on our campus in conjunction with Disability Services, haven't yet built an entire program that is completely accessible without any type of requesting accommodation. And that's legal under the ADA and legislation. And we absolutely would provide accommodations, but we haven't come up with a model yet for completely open and accessible programming. So that could be something that evolves in the future as more departments become better at delivering online programs and technology becomes better to help students with disabilities be able to be successful in online degree programs. There are universities out there, there have also been lawsuits out there against universities that say that their courses are completely open and accessible for everyone, which means they should have designed those courses to be open and accessible without request of accommodation. And so other universities have kind of learned the lesson on how we advertise online programs and how we handle accommodation. So that's a big part of what I do here at UAF with the programming side of things, and the ADA and legislation has prompted me to think about, okay, how can we make this better and more accessible for students? On the other side of things, I am a supervisor within our office, and under the law it requires me as well as UAF and administration to provide reasonable accommodation for employees who may have disabilities. And I have actually worked with employees before with disabilities, and we've sort of come up with ways to help them be successful in the office, whether it's a modified work schedule, meaning working later in the evening and coming in later in the morning, or accommodating various appointments or physical therapy that the employee needs to go through. And none of this has ever impacted the quality of work. The accommodation has been reasonable, and everything has worked out really, really well so that both the employee has the opportunity to be successful and the office benefits from their productivity. So during the hiring process, disability has never come up, as it shouldn't in a hiring process that's equal and legal. But after an employee is hired, if they bring to my attention that there is an accommodation that they may need, if I don't know how to do that myself, I'll typically talk with our executive director and also our Equal Employment and Opportunity Office and Disability Services on campus to be able to make accommodations. Sometimes college campuses can have a lack of physical accessibility. Sometimes the buildings are older or renovations are needed, but there's not enough money to renovate a building to be ADA compliant. We do have a university task force that looks into those issues as they come up, both proactively because they know what buildings on campus are designed as ADA compliant and those that aren't, as well as working with faculty, students, and staff to try to make the campus a more accessible place. So I do think that the university is making efforts to be accessible. I don't think it's perfect. I think that there's a long way to go to have everything be open and accessible. But it's a slow process, especially when funds are short and universities are getting older by the year. So it'll be interesting to see how all of that comes together in this particular field.